Welcome to the Hacking Your Health podcast with Ben Canning and Dave Kennedy. Two guys heading out to hack body, mind, business, and beyond. We are here to provide a single source, bullshit-free guide to understanding your body and how you can live better for longer.
Hacking Your Health listeners, just want to say a special thanks to everybody that is listening to this podcast. If you're enjoying what we're doing, please share us. We're all over at We Hack Health on Twitter, Discord, Instagram, you name it, pretty much everywhere. But your support, your sharing of your experiences, this community is what drives us, what drives this podcast, and what allows us to be able to do this every single week for you. So if you're enjoying what we're doing, please share us out there. The more people we have to impact, the more people we have to help. That's our mission. That's our goal. And that's the whole thing about Hacking Your Health. Thanks, everybody.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back. I'm Ben Canning.
I'm Dave Kennedy.
And this is Hacking Your Health podcast. What's up, Dave?
It's another week, man. It's a great week. Kicked it off strong this week, and it is snowing here in bright and sunny Cleveland, Ohio. And it was, deal with the weather, but still out there kicking butt and taking names. No excuses, and it's been good. It's been good.
You had to put a bit of a show on at Orange Theory this morning.
I did. Oh, well, this weekend I went to the Cavs game, and it's nice. So there's these guys behind us, and one of the guys is like, "Hey, dude, what?" The Cavs were losing really bad on Friday. Like they were getting destroyed by the Golden State Warriors, and I had a nice disco pump going on. Which, for those that don't know what disco pump is, you work out before you go out, so you look a little bit more bigger with the pump and everything. And I had a nice disco pump going on. My muscles were kind of showing out. Then the guy's like, "Hey, you need to go out there and help the Cavs and play the center position and just muscle a couple of guys because you're huge." And I was like, "Oh, thanks, man. Appreciate this." Some random stranger or something. That's cool. I'll take that compliment.
I'm in for it all day long.
I'm in for it. Like I said, then I ran out and bodied a couple of the players, and I got kicked out. I'm in jail this whole weekend. But no, it was a good weekend with fam. My daughter played in a tournament this weekend for volleyball, and it was like a really bad snowstorm out, so I had to drive. It was like 2 hours away to this tournament place, and got out there, but I still got all my lifts in, and I was able to. The good news is I was able to catch up on all my workouts that I missed while I was on deload. So it worked out good. I've been basically like tripling my lifting just to make sure I can make up for the days that I missed.
3 tuning sessions per day over the weekend.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that's exactly why we do
deload, right?
Yeah,
that's why we do deload, right? That's
to stress you out to make sure you can get them all in over the weekend.
No, but I was definitely on a tear today, and this is I like talking about this specifically because it's a good representation of mindset. One of the 4 pillars, right, that we focus on. Mindset being the number one, probably biggest one, because if you don't have a good mindset towards this, you're not going to be successful. And we've talked about this historically in podcasts, but it takes a lot of time to develop the right habits that go into mindset, right? But you have to have the mindset starting off with this to get you to the point to where you develop these habits. And these habits don't come day one. You're going to drag ass. You're going to hate going to the gym. You're going to hate lifting. You're going to hate doing cardio. You're going to hate doing everything else. And then as you start to do it more and more, your body's like, "Oh, hey, this is actually not so bad. I'm not dying each time. I actually enjoy this." And you start to develop these habits that your brain now accepts as kind of a new routine. And that'll get into our discussion today around time management, routine, and scheduling, right? Because it all comes down to the foundation of that is your brain. If your brain doesn't want you to do something, well, it's very hard to overcome that. And you see the same thing with how we eat nutritionally. If your brain wants to eat and you don't have the mindset in place to say, "Hey, I'm okay being hungry. It's okay to be hungry right now. I know I can get food whenever I need to. I'm going to be fine." These are the things that play into mindset. So this morning, a good example of mindset is I stayed up a little bit later than I should, so my recovery was not great. So that'll be in the check-in. But I was up late last night around midnight. Got home late from the volleyball tournament. We got home at like 9 o'clock at night, so I just wanted to relax. So I played some video games until like midnight. And then went upstairs, went to bed, woke up, and I just was not feeling going to Orange Theory this morning. And that's what I do my high intensity interval training, my HIIT training. And I look at the clock because I set my alarm for 6:45 so I can turn the alarm off for the kids so they can get ready and everything else and all this other stuff. And then I usually wake up and, around 6:45 or 7 and go do my normal routine of, showering and then making sure, I take my medicine, brush my teeth, all that good stuff. And then I go and I take my pre-workout, which, by the way, I get excited the morning, the day before for taking my pre-workout. I don't know why, but it's just like, it's that jolt of energy. I'm like, I can't wait to take my pre-workout. I don't know if you have the same thing, but like, I think about pre-workout often, which I don't know if that's a good thing or not. But like last night I was like, I can't wait to wake up and take my pre, I'm just really excited about that. But, I woke up and I just wasn't feeling it. And, the funny thing is that, if I had let my mind, take control, I would not have gone this morning. And instead I'm like, well, dude, mind, you don't have a choice. Like, we're going. You can hate me going today. That's fine, but we're still going. So you might as well just suck it up, Buttercup, and we're going to go there and get it done. And so I actually went to Orange Theory today. And it's like that switch hit as soon as I started hitting that treadmill. And like, I started getting a little bit of a sweat. I push myself harder today than hands down I ever have any other day I've been in Orange Theory. Like today, I want
a listener. I want a listener to go back through every episode and work out how many episodes that you said that you have pushed yourself further than any other day. And they will all be true.
They will all be true because I keep getting better. But I mean, I was on next level today. I don't know what was going on, but like when they were like do push pace, I was doing all out sprints. We were on base pace. I was doing pushes, which is, like 10 miles per hour, 12 miles per hour, et cetera. And and then we're doing hills. I kept a push pace the entire time. We went up to a 7 incline all the way down. I mean, I was just like, and then on the mixture between the gym and the rower, she had to stand on the rower again because I was, rocking it back and forth. And, I was a tear. And I was like, I had lapped most people 3 times on the rower, because like you have to do, you do like a 200-meter row. Then you go do your gym workout, and you go do another 200-meter row. Then you go do your gym workout. I was like going back and forth so fast, like and I was just knocking them out. I wasn't taking a break. I would go to 200. I just bang out. It's supposed to be like a base pace on 200, and I'm doing like all out like 500 RPM. Like the things like smoking from the thing, and go back. I don't know what was happening to me today. But I was just like, I want to kill myself today and just destroy myself for some reason. And it definitely did that because I've been tired all day today. But it was a good intro for the week to get it started and kick it off on a high note. So I was really, really happy with how that turned out. But again, I would never had that feeling, that sense of accomplishment, being able to go out there and do it if I let my lazy mind take control. And that's, the big concept there, I think. But aside from that, dude, how are you doing?
Well, there's a couple of things actually that I want to touch on in what you just said. The first thing being about what you put yourself through in terms of the HIIT workouts and how hard it is and the struggle that you, like how far you push yourself. I was listening to Joe Rogan a couple of weeks ago and he said that he makes his morning workouts as brutal and as horrible as he possibly can because that will be the worst thing he has to deal with all day. So
that's true.
It's me asking you, like, do you find that doing that allows you to sort of handle the stressors of owning businesses and all the fires that are thrown into any potential shit shows that you would have to deal with day to day? Like, do you feel like if you get that done out of the way, you can handle anything?
Well, I think the difference is I don't see the same one-to-one as Joe there. Okay. My difference is that I feel like I've pushed myself as hard as I possibly could. And I don't look at it as a negative. I look at it as a sense of accomplishment that I've bettered myself. And one day I've accomplished something that is absolutely epic and awesome with myself. Right. So my day starts off with a very good note. So anything that tries to knock you down a couple notches throughout the day, I already feel accomplished. I already feel like, hey, this day isn't, all lost or anything. So I think more so it's you have so many positives, so many negatives in a day. You just start with such a high positive that it's very difficult to get you down to a level where you're just, feeling like total crap. But don't get me wrong, there's days where you have horrible days, even after you work down stuff like that, where, stuff happens, but you still have that sense of accomplishment that no one can take away from you. And that's why, there are studies that, doing workouts in the morning, have a better impact on longevity and overall health with your body. So, for me, I prefer to get it all done in the morning, accomplish it, get it knocked out. And then from there, push forward for the rest of the day. So I think, it's very similar in nature, right? But I think I really try to push myself as hard as I possibly can to the point where, I'm hitting my limits, my top limits of what I can do as a human, and then push myself even further because it's just your brain telling you can't do it. And then from there, moving on, saying, hey, I accomplished something with myself today. I had a PR. I pushed myself as hard as I possibly could. I think that's the cool battle with yourself that you go through that makes you super happy throughout the rest of the day. I mean, my attitude and my positivity throughout the day is almost always on an extremely positive note because of that.
Yeah. And the other thing is, and this is again a podcast I was listening to today. Obviously, the other podcast that I listened to is the Stephen Bartlett, the Diary of a CEO one. And today he had on Steve Peters, so the guy that wrote The Chimp Paradox. I don't know if you've ever read it, but essentially what you're talking about there in that battle in your mind, he talks about the chimp being the part of your brain that controls things with emotion, and then the human side of your brain being like the computer analytic, like habitual thing. So that conversation is an actual thing in your brain. So it's not like, you just wake up and you decide one day, oh, no, I'm not going to go. It's like there is that sort of battle going in between. I found it actually, I have read the book before, but listening to the podcast today, he's worked with like some of the craziest, like he works with the police for like, people with psychiatric needs, and he's worked with like Olympic sports teams, and like how he sort of breaks down the process to be able to separate the two. And the thing that he says is like, you can't get rid of the chimp, quote unquote. It's just about learning to manage it and how you sort of deal with yourself and deal with the chimp versus the human side and these things. So I thought it was interesting and just relevant, I guess, to what you're saying. And in the same note as that, this morning I got up early and you had a lots to do, let's say, got through my check-ins, and I was like, right, I'd scheduled to go to the gym at like 9 o'clock, which is early for me. I think we all need to give me credit for going to the
Congratulations.
gym. Yeah. And I literally got ready, made my pre-workout, sat in the living room, and I was like, I really don't want to go to the gym. Like I had that. I was like,
it's funny that we're in the same mental. I think what happened was I think you sent me mental signals from Northern Ireland all the way to the United States.
You woke up.
I woke up just in a piss.
I don't want to go to the gym either.
If Ben doesn't want to go, I don't want to go. So.
But I was sitting there and I was like, I was really trying to justify, and it was funny because I was really trying to justify, like, well, I have this to do and I have that to do, and it'll put me ahead of the week, and I'm traveling on Saturday, so I'll get all this stuff done, and I have that to do, and blah 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 blah. And then I just went, shut the fuck up, put my shoes on and walked out the door and went. And I felt much better after going. Like, I never go to the gym in a whether I want to or not and come away feeling worse. So it was good overall. But there was a guy there who was pressing the 65 kilo dumbbells, which are, I think, 132 pounds. And he kept coming over to me and being like, can you lift this onto my leg? As if he was like mocking me, like, I know you can't lift these, like I can lift them. But he was like, he couldn't obviously load them himself, so he picked one up, put one on his right leg, and I had to load the other one on the other leg.
I can load them myself.
Yeah, I mean, I could load them onto my leg. I just wouldn't be able to press them.
I might be able to get like for 132 pounds. I could probably get one or two.
I think 60. Let me see. Let me still check.
That's gonna be more than that. It's gonna be more than that.
65. 143. Sorry, 143.
Yeah, maybe I would probably go with that. No.
But yes, aside from that, is good. Again, I've just been catching up with people. Had a couple of calls today and getting check-ins done and getting ready for traveling to Texas and then Phoenix this week, which I'm looking forward to.
That's awesome.
So I did a lot of back-to-back travel towards the end of last year, and then now it's coming up again. I'm like, oh shit, how do I do this? What do I need to bring with me? Like, just out of the habit of doing it. But I'm looking forward. There's going to be some cool things going on over there, and I've never been to Texas or Phoenix, so that'll be a new experience.
Both are awesome places. Very much desert-like. Not really. I mean, there's like obviously minor stuff there.
Well, if you look at the map, like the cartoon version of American map, both of them have like a cactus and a skull of a dead animal. So I think the desert is pretty far.
Yeah, absolutely. But there's some good spots there. It's cool. Like Saturday when I woke up in the morning, I kind of did my ritual too. But I felt like I was like, man, I can't wait to lift because it was push day for me. So my schedule was a little bit off because of deload. So I went,
So you've done Wednesday push, Thursday push, Friday push, Saturday push,
Sunday push
on Sunday,
push.
And then today's
actually
push Monday.
Yeah, today's push. Yeah.
So you're back.
I'm gonna do back tomorrow, but then I'm gonna do push again Wednesday. So it's just have these massive chests and like no legs, no back. But no, it was funny because Saturday, you get in these lifting modes, and I love having these lifting modes where you're just vibing, right? Like you are just feeling amazing. You don't want to stop. And it's funny because like I was there lifting and I had to take my son to his basketball game. So his basketball game was at like 10:30, but you have to drop him off like an hour early and then get there. The game starts at 11:30. And the night before, I was driving back from the Cavs game. I was really, really, really low in gas. I mean, it said I had like 18 miles left, but and I still had like 5 miles to go. And my son's like, "Are we going to make it home, Dad, with gas?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm good. We're fine.
Don't worry about it.
We're not going to worry about it. We're fine." So I drive and I go home and I still don't fill gas, and then I got to drive him to high school so I stopped my lift, and which by the way I've been lifting for like 2 hours, and I felt great, and I'm like, you know what? After I get done, dropping Gavin off, and the game is done. After I'm done with the game, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna do back and biceps because I'm just feeling so good. Okay, and I drop Gavin off, and my fuel meter says it has 6 miles left on the tank. And the high school is like really close to our house, and the gas station is relatively close to the house. So I'm like, all right, listen, I only got like 40 minutes or so to go back either to lift or to go get gas. And I still got to like shower and, get ready so I can go to his game and then come back and lift again, back in biceps. So I'm like, all right, I'm just going to wing it. And I go home with, 6 miles left on the gas tank. I get home, it's like 4 miles in the gas tank. And then I lift for like, and then of course I get wrapped up myself, and so I'm lifting again. I only have like 20 minutes to get to the game, and I still haven't showered yet. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to shower. I'm just going to put some deodorant on, spray myself a little bit, make pretend, and sit away from people. And then so I change really quick, get to his game, and then as I'm driving to the gas station, Gavin's like, "We're not going to make it, man." 'Cause it's like it stopped saying how much longer I had left on the gas tank. It's like I don't know, like I don't think of anything.
Your guess is as good as mine.
At this point, we don't know what's going on here. So I made it to the gas station and got my gas. And then as I came home, I'm like, what am I talking about? I'm exhausted. Like there's no way I could do back and biceps like that. What was I thinking? Like I had worked out my body so much that my triceps were like randomly spasming, and I couldn't even like control them. I'd just be sitting there like, cramp. And it happened like every 5 minutes. Like it was a great day, but yet at the same time, I was like, okay, I was feeling really good that day. I probably should have taken it a little bit easier there, but I was happy with that thing. So. Yeah.
And I think like I've been in a situation before where, you have like these reserve miles in your tank, but I think like with your truck, there's probably not that many. Like it doesn't do, it's not very, mileage friendly is probably the best way that I could put it. But same on you on Saturday. Maybe I was sending you the vibes on Saturday. I must have lifted for like slightly over 2 hours on Saturday, and just everything. I got to the end of my workout and I was like, oh, I'm just going to go and do some other stuff. And then I had to leave because the gym was getting busy and it was starting to be in. But yeah, same sort of idea. Really good session. It's definitely the best that I've felt in a very long time. I put up my check into James today, but yeah, no, things were good on Saturday. And it was also an upper body day. I don't have a push day or a pull day. I just have upper. So maybe need to work that one out. But yeah, no, training was good on Saturday, my end too. See, we're in sync.
Awesome. We're in sync. See, it's like we're connected.
Same calories, same good day.
Yeah, same calories.
Training. Yeah.
It's kind of like women when they hang out and with their friends, like their cycles go to the same thing. Like our moods are now synced. Yeah. Even though we're completely across the other side of the world, we can sense it.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Right. So today this has been requested many times. And I think it's good because obviously one of the biggest roadblocks, I'm going to say excuses, one of the biggest excuses, and I maybe put a video out that was maybe a bit, I was going to say tongue-in-cheek, but it wasn't. It was directly to the point in terms of excuses and time management over the weekend. So I've been asked a couple of times, for me, how I manage everything, but I've also been asked, how the fuck does Dave manage everything? So I think sort of time management and scheduling and how we fit those things in and sort of what the best practices for that are and how to prioritize different things is probably a good topic. It's also the topic that I'm going to cover this week in the mainframe for everybody who has access to it. So I think it'll be a good one. For me, I think that the biggest thing that allows me to do, I'm not going to say do so much because I'm not the like, oh, I'm so busy guy, but the biggest thing that allows me to control it is routine and my calendar. Those two things, like literally, without those, I'd be totally fucked. Like if I didn't have my calendar and my routine, the wheels fall off. And I know that you're similar in that as well. So what I'm going to do, and this is probably going to be useless to everybody who is listening, but what I'm going to do in the training for the mainframe this week is literally start with a blank calendar and build out what my week looks like and how I prioritize things and what that sort of looks like from a scheduling perspective. I don't know if you ever heard this story. It's like the professor, and he brings out the jar and he fills it full of rocks. And he says to the class, "Is the jar full?" And everybody's like, "Yeah, the jar's full." And then he fills it through with like smaller rocks and more goes in it. And the jar's full, and he does pebbles, and then he does sand, and then he does water. Same sort of idea. So put the big rocks in first and sort of filter in the other things around. I'm going to use that analogy as well. But I think it works well in terms of like, there are obviously things that we have to do. Like we have to work. We have to train. Outside of that, everything's pebbles and sand.
Right.
But
I think that what people, I think there's two aspects to this, right? There's human beings will fill their schedule with whatever they can accomplish for that day and what's important to them, right? So our current schedules today are made up by us, and we have control of our schedules. Even though we have a work, we might have a job, we might have a family, we might have sports to go to. At the end of the day, we control what we do day in and day out, whether that's waking up and just pissing off of work or whatever we want to do. Like we can make our own decisions on our schedules, right? Now, I think the issue that most people run with time management is like, well, I already have my fixed days. Where do I fit this in? And, I was very much the same way when I first started with Ben. I'm like, hey, Ben, I run, 2 large cybersecurity companies. The CEO, I need to, I'm dealing with a lot of stuff all the time. I'm continuously traveling. I was traveling probably 70% of the time. And I need to figure out ways to fit this type of stuff into my schedule. And, the thing that I think is missed by talking about scheduling and time management is your mindset. Your mindset has to be there and have importance around training and nutrition and things to that effect in order for the scheduling to be appropriate. Because you're going to start to prioritize things that you can and can't get done in a day. For example, there is a laundry list of things that I have to get done, all the time. The truth of the matter is it's so much that there's no way I can accomplish it in a day, a week, a month, 6 months. So it takes time to knock out things that are a priority for you to get those things done. Now, if it's something that's super priority, like, hey, I need to approve this offer letter going out to the company, or I need to, send a message out about a new employee starting, or, I need to decide what we're going to be doing from a sales metrics perspective. Okay. Those things may be immediate that I need to get done, but again, so does my training. So if it doesn't fit currently today, my biggest recommendation for people is starting off small with routines and building up on those habits to where now it becomes an importance to you, if that makes sense. I think when people, and you can apply this to almost anything in life. Like if you're doing a keto diet, you're super excited about keto because it's a brand new thing. You're going to be successful this time. And you're so excited about it. And you do all this keto stuff. And then a month later, you're like, this stuff sucks. I hate eating meat and cheese all day long. I'm going back to whatever I'm doing before. You're not excited about it anymore, right? Or you miss a day and you're like, I'll go back to it the next day. It's only been one day. I'll just go back to the second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day. Now it's 2 months later, 6 months later, all this stuff. So the truth of it is that time management comes with making it important to you and kind of going all in on what you want to accomplish and having those goals set that we talk about to allow you to be able to be successful with it. And so I think, for me, my training schedule changes, from time to time based on if I'm traveling or things like that, but I always make it a priority to work out. Like I talked about last week's podcast, even though I wasn't supposed to, for Tuesday and Wednesday, I knew that I was going to be predominantly sitting and I wasn't going to have a lot of time for working out. It just wasn't going to happen from a schedule perspective. There's a lot packed into a day. So, that Tuesday I went and got Orange Theory off in the morning. And then Wednesday, I didn't do anything. And then actually Wednesday I went and lifted. So I did do something those 2 days, which is good. But I wasn't planning on that. So anyways, the schedule can be chaotic, but you always need to figure out time to fit things in. Whether, and it doesn't mean you need to be spending, we talk about 2 hours or 2.5 hours in the gym. I'm not saying you have to spend 2.5 hours in the gym. That's honestly probably stupid. It's probably not doing anything being in the gym for 2.5 hours. But, 45, even 30, 45 minutes to an hour that you can dedicate to yourself, 3 times a week, that's phenomenal, right? You're doing some amazing things for your body right there just by prioritizing yourself to get in some resistance training, cardiovascular work, that type of stuff. Yeah,
and actually, just to touch on that while it's in my head, if you have the habit and the routine of training at a certain time, so obviously, I'm going to say you and I have the luxury of being slightly more in control of our diaries and our schedule, because I know diary is a different thing in America. I'm dear diary, but our schedules. But I know that some people are fixed in terms of like they have to start work at a certain time, they have to finish at a certain time, and all these other things. So if you have the habit or your routine is that you train at 7 a.m. every morning, and that is whenever you do whatever the output is. In the podcast episode with Tim Ferriss and James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits, and actually something that Jocko said in the podcast with Andrew Huberman, they said that to maintain that habit, even if you do something that is like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, even if you do 2 sets of push-ups or 3 sets of push-ups and tick that box as I've done the output, and maybe it's not your full 30, 45, 60-minute workout or whatever it is, you still maintain that habit and tick that box for that day. So you can sort of adjust what you're doing. And this is something that I used to really fall into the habit, or fall into, I guess, the negative habit of. I used to know that my workouts essentially probably took me 2 hours by the time I got to the gym, trained for an hour and a half and got back. If I didn't have that 2 hours, or it started to creep into like, I only have 2 hours exactly, and then I have to be back for this call, I have to do this, I would have just binned it off. Whereas I probably could have got a really good workout in like half an hour, 45 minutes and come back and still got it done. So don't be afraid to adapt the things that you do around the time you have. Don't worry about going, I usually do an hour, but I only have half an hour, I only have 20 minutes. Like, you can definitely play about with what you're doing.
Well, there's a podcast I was listening to. Gosh, I can't remember who it was.
This is literally like we just listen to podcasts all the time. Like when we have the time.
Oh, it was a YouTube video, and it caught my eye because it was like something to the effect of like doing one set of really, really heavy reps is all you need to do for a lifting routine. I'm like, yeah, okay, let me hear this. But what I thought was interesting about it was talking about getting in what you can, right? And just the fact that you're there getting it in is better than 95% of the population that we have here, right? And, I've gotten some amazing workouts in 30 minutes. I've gotten some amazing workouts in 15 minutes. And there's times where I have to cut my, I'm like, I look at my clock, I'm like, I only have 45 minutes to go get a workout. This is all I got for today. So I'm just going to get whatever I possibly can. I'm going to push as hard as I can for 45 minutes, as fast as I can. The problem I run into is like, when I go downstairs to my laptop, I'm doing work, so my lifting routine, when I say I'm there for 2 hours, I'm responding back to messages and emails. I'm, taking time in between my sets and things like that. So it does expand.
You're posting in Discord and sending me abusive.
Posting in Discord. Yeah. Definitely sending you videos, YouTube shorts. But the thing is that, I could definitely condense it if I needed to and do it much more. And I found that, when I'm fully concentrated and I don't have the distractions, and I just gun at it, I'm pushing hard, right? And you can get things done. 30, 45 minutes is a great workout by every stretch of the means. So, you do have time throughout the day. Like, you're telling me you don't have 30 minutes a day, 45 minutes a day, an hour a day just to spend for time for yourself. That would be unusual for somebody. It's just, again, it comes back down to making it a habit, priority, and then working that through your schedule so that you have the ability to go and do it. And I'll just give you like an example of a common day for me. So I used to work out in the afternoon, was kind of my routine. So I would, get up in the morning, get some emails out, relax, that type of stuff at the office. And, around 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I would go and get my lift in. What I found with that was I was always getting distracted all the time by business because I'm obviously working at the same time and I'm lifting and I have conference calls and things like that. And I'm like, hey, can I pause for like 3 seconds while I get this next set in? So just schedule wise for me, the 1 or 2 o'clock didn't work for me. And I was never a morning person. So I was like, well, I have to prioritize this. So let me start working on the morning prior to anybody getting up. And then I will go and get my stuff knocked in. And at first I was like, oh, this sucks. But then it became a habit. And I don't mind waking up early in the morning anymore. So I wake up, sometimes, 6, 6:30, 7, and I'm getting my workout done prior to anything actually going on during the day. So, we can develop these habits, even if we're already set or fixed in other habits. It's just a matter of giving yourself the time so that you have the right prioritization. And what that also means too, is that, if you're waking up at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, your bedtime is going to be substantially different, right? It's not going to be 11, 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in the morning. I find, once I start getting to like 8, 9 o'clock, I'm tuckered out. Like, I'm tired. I already had a full, freaking day. And like, my buddies are like, let's go out and hang out. I'm like, dude, it's like 8:30. Like, they're like,
I got like
in the bed
30 minutes and then I got to go home to bed.
I got 30 minutes and I got to go. So let's figure this out. So, your routines change based off of the things that you have as a priority. If I had a priority of X, Y, or Z, those would be my priorities versus something else. And if you shift those to something different, those are the things that can be beneficial, I think, in your life. And making fitness and health and nutrition your priority is definitely a good thing.
Yeah, and even like for me, logistically, again, if we use the rock analogy, like I look at my calendar and look at the things that I have to do in a day. So essentially, there are days that I have to do check-ins, so I'll block that time off. And again, similar to yourself, I used to train in the afternoon. I no longer do train in the afternoon. I guess I'm a morning person now. And I guess sort of side note on that, 2 people today have said they're not morning people, and I've stopped them straight away. And I said the only reason that you're not a morning person is because you're telling yourself that, and the more you tell yourself 100%. That, the more that you will back that up. So if you continue to do that, or if you change your mindset or change how you speak to yourself, you can change your thought process around that. Anyway, so for me, I look at my days and what I have to achieve. So essentially Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, I do check-ins. Friday, I also do the group check-ins. Tuesday, I have I always keep it as a bit of a free day, like a quote unquote creative day for like building out trainings and whatever else. And what I've started to do now is with my newfound training in the morning, I get up early. So I get up at like 4:30, start work like 4:45, 5, get my first sort of block of work done between say 5 and like 7:30, get Harper up, get her ready, get her out to daycare. Whenever I leave her off to daycare, go to the gym, train, come back, eat, shower, and then get back into my second block of work. After that second block of work, usually I'll probably finish it around like 1-ish, potentially eat lunch. And then what starts to happen is I start to have calls, because obviously America is then awake. So that's whenever, it's like morning time over there.
We're always awake in America, by the way. So.
Yeah. But that's whenever I start to get my calls booked in. So it actually, I've adapted my work schedule around the people that I work with and the time zones that they're in. And it is working really well. But obviously, like I said, being able to adapt and play about with it. So if something happens that I don't get everything done today and I need to do it tomorrow, I have that sort of the freedom to do so. But yeah, I've gradually seen over time that my training goes from like 2 o'clock, and then it was 1 o'clock, then it was 12 o'clock, and then it was 10 o'clock, and now it's in 9 o'clock. I'm like, it's getting super early. But yeah, putting those like priority tasks in, again, people who have to go to work and have to be there at a certain time would have to block that time off, and then you work everything else logistically around that.
Yeah, and that's the logistical part of all of this, is that your calendar, your schedule, your time with family, and things like that are all important. We're not saying, and you made something, you did said something before, and you diminished how busy you were to my schedule, right? You said, hey, you got to be much more busier than I am. Like, who am I to talk? No. We're all as busy as you possibly can imagine. Like, everybody is busy, no matter what. Like every single person, regardless if they're, The Rock or a president of the United States or whomever, they're busy, but as is everybody else. Like we all have tasks and things, and I saw your schedule the other day, and you were way busier than I was that week with like 7,000 check-in calls, right? So, at the end of the day, we're all busy in our own mind, retrospect, because we have to feel like we're busy to continue to make progress or make, that we're making an impact on our life and our families and our friends. Things of that effect. So we're always, professionally, we're always busy. So no one is more busy or less busy than anybody else, unless you're just sitting on the couch watching, whatever every single day. You probably call it, hey, Apex now right now. But
the thing is, though, the thing about the busy conversation is, I correct myself anytime that I go to say I'm busy. I'm nothing against being busy, and I'm not saying that I have more on my plate than I have had before. But I have this like mental relationship with people saying they're busy and using it as an excuse. So I don't want to be like, oh, I'm so busy, or I never want to be like, if you need something, or anybody in the team needs something, or I need to grab a quick call. I don't want to ever seem, oh no, I'm too busy, because I want to always be available to accommodate like clients, family, whatever it is. Like I don't want to be, no, I'm busy, I can't do that. So it's more the language around it that I don't like. The word, the busy is a bad word in my language.
Yeah, no, and that makes sense.
Fucking a lot of other stuff's absolutely fine. Busy, and
that makes sense. I mean, all of us want to, feel like we have the time to do what we want to and control our own destinies and things like that. So, again, at the end of the day, though, we're all busy. Even though if you don't like that word, it's fine. But you're busy. I'm busy. Everybody's busy. We're busy doing a podcast. After this, I'm busy lifting weights. After that, I'm busy taking the kids to whatever. So we're all busy doing different things. Okay, so we're, one's not better than the other, or in any way, shape, or form. So, with that, again, the prioritization around timing, and I want to talk a little bit about calendar scheduling, because I think it's important if you're going to do lifting at a regular, reoccurring time, that you block that time off in your own schedule. right? And that becomes kind of an immutable thing that you cannot replace or move. For me, excuse me, it's Jaws in the middle of the podcast. I'm so sorry. I should have gone to sleep earlier yesterday.
Keeping it real.
Keeping it real here. Can I do the beep here? The beep that out? That's too late. But anyways, sorry, it's just hit me all of a sudden. But like this, I've been on the same schedule for quite a long time. So Monday, Wednesday, hit training, and then from there I insert in the resistance training. So typically Monday I'll still lift. Tuesday I will definitely lift. Wednesday I won't lift, but I'll still do Orange Theory. Thursday, Friday, Saturday lift. Sunday I'll lift, but I'll just tell Ben I don't lift. And then Monday I start the whole thing again. So I'm just kidding. I actually rest on Sunday. So, but that schedule works for me, but I have to block off the time. Like, and I always check like the day before or the week before, like what's my week look like? Where am I going to fit all this in? Can I get it in the morning? Am I traveling? If I'm traveling, have I looked at the gyms that are close by that I can go to? When can I actually go to the gym? Like when's my flight land versus when I get to my hotel versus should I hit in the morning? Is it on a Monday or Wednesday? Should I go to Orange Theory in that location that I'm going to traveling to? Where's the nearest Orange Theory? Like, I was in DC recently, not this last trip, but the week before, the one before that. And, happened to fall on a Wednesday, and, I got in Tuesday night, and I, hung out at, hotel with friends and everything. Wednesday morning, I was already booked for Orange Theory, went to Orange Theory in the morning before the whole day started, went in, knocked out a presentation and everything else. And the day was just like it would have normally been. So, yeah, I didn't skip a beat just because I was traveling in different locations. The same thing goes for eating as well. When I eat, it's interesting. I noticed something about myself that yesterday that I didn't realize until like it was actually yesterday when I realized it. And we went to right after Morgan's volleyball game. She did really awesome. Really proud to watch her. And in fact, I have to say, I'm actually a huge fan of volleyball now. I've actually never sat through a full volleyball game before. And it's actually really exciting. Like I was like, oh, this is high speed. This is fast. This is like basketball. Like I can get used to this. It's not like, I'm not to offend anybody, but it's not like baseball or it's not like swimming. Like those two sports take forever. You're there for hours. And in the summertime, especially baseball, you're like in the hot sun melting and you got to bring all this crap with you and coolers and, all this other stuff. So like, I'm just like, volleyball is easy. Cause like the match basically is, and not to get too deeply in the conversation here, but the match is like, you basically have a maximum of 3 games that you play against one team. So like two teams go against two teams go against each other, and then it's up to 25. If you win that one, the other team again, you play again up to 25. And then if one and the other win, then you have a third kind of tiebreaker game, and that determines who's the winner of, so it's basically like 3 rounds, right? But if the first team wins twice, then there's no third round. It's just, they've won. So, I was there this whole the whole day. So we got there at like 10 o'clock in the morning, and they were there till like 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. This is like 2 hours away. And so we decided to go get dinner. I went to Buffalo Wild Wings, which is you've been there, a nice, nice wings place and stuff like that. But it's interesting. I noticed my eating habits have changed over the years that I didn't really pay attention to. And it was more of like a subconscious thing. It wasn't intentional, but I almost always never, ever order pasta ever. And I almost always never, ever order anything that's super bready, like a sandwich. So you won't actually see me typically eat like a big burger or something like that. It's relatively rare for me because of all the bread that's on there and the pasta that's on there and just how bloated and full I feel afterwards. I actually can't remember the last time I ate pasta. Like it's probably been years. Like it's probably been a year or two. And I didn't even realize that I don't like subconsciously. I was just like, I don't want to feel like shit. So I'm not going to eat pasta. So it's interesting how our habits change, when you focus on something. And I wasn't even trying to do that intentionally as something that I do. And I used to eat pasta, by the way, all the time. I was a vegetarian for 6 years. And I was the most unhealthiest, overweight vegetarian you've ever met in your entire life. So, and that was from a lot of pasta eating too. So anyways, it's just interesting how your habits actually change as you go through it. But when I'm traveling somewhere, I always try to find something that is going to be whole food centric. So, single source, of food, steak, whole breast chickens, things like that. If I can't find anything, like when I was at BW3s, it was nice to have the calorie count on there. And I just got some, straight up chicken wings with just dry rub on there. And they had a little dipping sauce on there from like the garlic stuff. And, it's probably around 800 calories, which is fit perfectly within my range of calories for that day. And that's what I went into. So, we can make choices even when we're traveling, when we're with family, when we're eating out. At Thanksgiving, I wish I would have taken more pictures of the food that I ate, because you'd see on my plate a massive pile of turkey And then you see like a little tiny bit of stuffing, definitely some cranberry sauce. Got to have cranberry sauce with turkey. That's like a given. And do you guys do cranberry sauce over there?
Yeah.
Okay, I was just making sure.
Although it doesn't come, like, from the photos that I've seen from the Thanksgiving photos that were, not to, like, again, derail the conversation, it looks like just like a little, like, tube. Like, it was like a cylinder, and will you just cut like a slice off?
No, so what happens is that there's like homemade cranberry sauce, okay? And that's absolutely trash and garbage. You throw it that way. No one ever eats it. You just throw it away in the garbage. There's never been ever made in the history of cranberry sauce good homemade cranberry sauce. However, if you go to the store and you buy a can of cranberry sauce that's been there for like 7 years and never expires, that is the best cranberry sauce you could ever possibly imagine. It's like this gelatin mold of goodness, and it even has like the rings. It has the ring cans on it and everything. Yeah. And you can tell, if it's really good cranberry sauce by the amount of indentations from the rings. Like, especially if there's been like the cans been damaged, you can tell it's even good. Yeah. So that's the only cranberry sauce that you can have, and it can't have like the chunks in there either. That's a no go. It's got to be like the straight cranberry sauce can thing, and that's good.
That's the good shit.
That's a good shit. But again, my portion size, if I'm going to eat a lot, is going to be predominantly protein centric. So it's just how I've kind of moved into moving that. And so, like, even if you're eating fast food, Chipotle, phenomenal. Rice, beans, chicken, Whole Foods, things like that you can go and eat. Taco Bell, not so much, but if you're going to get something, the soft tacos aren't too really bad. You can get those for like 200 calories per one. There's not really a whole lot of great healthy options at Taco Bell, to be perfectly honest with you. But even at McDonald's, they have chicken breasts you can just say without the bun for the grilled chicken sandwiches. Like there's things you can order everywhere. Just kind of cut back on the craziness of the stuff that you're eating and go to. And I'm not saying you shouldn't eat carbohydrates or breads or things like that. Do within the confines of your macronutrient breakdowns and your calories. But just try to stay away from that type of stuff.
I think the thing that for me over time, how I process and digest food has changed. So essentially there are things that will make me feel a different way. And I naturally avoid the things that make me feel negative. I don't avoid pasta, but I know that if I want to have a really good night's sleep and I'm like wired because potentially took too much pre-workout that Dave sent me in the mail, whatever. If I have like a hot carb heavy meal, like a big bowl of pasta, I know I'll be tired and I'll sleep really well that night. So, I guess that's a bit of a sleep trick. But the thing, and actually just to sort of go on to your point about Chipotle and things like that, I'm actually excited for travel this time because I think I'm away for like a total of 2 weeks. I'm going to do, we'll call it the Great American Chain Fast Food Tour. I'm going to do Chipotle. I'm going to do, what's the Chinese place that you say?
The Chinese place, you talking about P.F. Chang's?
Yes. I'm going to do all these places and do what I think the best meal to order for eating well, eating like best value for calories, best value for protein, Chick-fil-A, all those places. So I'm excited to put that together because I am going to do it so that you're not just telling me about Chipotle and I've never been. I'll do it so I can build the training out for the mainframe so that they have that as a go-to of like, there will be one of these chain restaurants in whatever city or state that you go to. So I'm excited to sort of do that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it's those types of I guess, hacks that you can do with yourself when you're traveling to different locations and it's convenient. Like, there's a lot of times where I'm at the office and I didn't bring, a Tavala or food or whatever. And so I have, DoorDash where I can go out and eat, and I have to be conscious of those areas and actually select locations based off of the type of food that I can eat. There's a Core Life Eatery by me that makes some really awesome purple rice bowls with, nice chicken and steak and stuff like that. There's the P.F. Chang's, which, I usually get, you can get the General Tso's chicken without the breading on it. So there's a lot of really cool things you can do just to kind of, make it down, fit it within your nutrients and then go from there. Or, obviously like a lot of folks will like prep food, things like that if they can ahead of time and build those out. So, different routines for different people based on your lifestyle, what you have available to you. And there's no question, there's an amazing amount of delicious foods out there. You can still eat delicious foods, again, just within moderation. I think I showed you that one video this weekend, and it was from a guy that you didn't really like that much. I can't remember his name.
James Smith.
James Smith, is that it?
Yeah. So people from the UK will know he's quite a big name over here. And it's not that I don't like him. I found whenever I followed him, a lot of his videos were the same. So essentially, like, here's a topic, I'm pissed off about it, and he'll go on a rant on it. But I think from like listening to him on different podcasts, and he has a couple of books. I've read his books. His actual book on nutrition is actually a really good book. He breaks things down really well. But I think from seeing him, he definitely plays a persona in those videos, because it's that same like try to be extreme to get attention on social media. And I don't feel like he's actually really like that in real life. One thing I did realize over the weekend, though, his voice and Chris Eubank Jr.'s voice are exactly the same. And I can't unhear it, because obviously that boxing match was on. I was like, that really sounds like James Smith. But anyway, yes, in the video that you sent me across the weekend, he breaks it down pretty well.
It's and what we're referencing in this video is, there's been the restrictive diet side of the house, and this gets into routine. We talk about routine and stuff like that, where you can't have you have cheat days or cheat foods, things like that. We try to stay away from those terminologies, and I liked how he broke down the concept of why are you cheating? Like why are you doing something against yourself or against your body? Why cheat? Like what's the point of a cheat day? Like, and I get asked all the time, like, hey, when's your cheat day? And what's funny is like just Friday, one of our employees had a birthday, and they brought in cake for the person and everything. And someone just automatically says to me, he's like, oh, hey, Dave, I know you're not gonna have any cake. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm gonna have some cake. Like, I want cake. Like, give me a big piece. Can I get a corner side with the more frosting and a bigger size of the cake?
Oh, 2 pieces of cake.
Yeah, let's have 2 pieces of cake. Like, oh, I'm just gonna eat the whole cake. That's it. That's all I'm gonna need for today. But no, but the truth of the matter is that if you have control over your nutritional aspects, there are no cheat days. Like there are you can eat a piece of pizza. You can eat 2 pieces of pizza. Are you gonna have 10 pieces of pizza or eat a whole pizza? That's probably not the best thing for you, right? So it's having control over what you eat, and to say, and what I liked about what he said is you could literally eat donuts all day long and lose weight. It's true. That's 100% true. If you're eating enough donut or less donuts than from calories perspective than what you're burning, you will lose weight. That is 100% possible. Now, again, there's some caveats with that. You're probably going to feel like shit. You're not going to be getting any of the
going to feel like shit.
Definitely going to feel like shit. Your micronutrients, the vitamins and minerals that we get from whole foods and things that are from the earth and stuff like that are going to completely go out the window. So you're totally going to feel like shit, but you can do it. Yeah. You can definitely lose weight a ton by.
But we do not recommend. We are not recommending. Just to clarify, the other thing, like the reason that I don't use the word cheat day, and you'll have maybe noticed this in potentially other clients, like I will give high days where calories are higher. And I will explain in that it's not actually, I put it into Mike's check-in today. It's like, it's not an excuse to take the piss on these days. My recommendation is just to eat more of the foods that you already eat in higher volumes that you can digest and process well. Because if you go, oh yeah, I've got 3,000 calories, I'm going to go and get a 5 guys, you're going to feel like shit because your body doesn't really process it the same. So it's the terminology around food. Like, I don't like the term cheat day. I don't like the Weight Watchers one, which is sins, because again, it's a negative. And to anybody who's going to come and be like, but The Rock has cheat days. Yes, I'm not The Rock. You're not The Rock. We are not The Rock. That person who's complaining to me about the cheat day, I'm not The Rock. Like, he can have cheat days all day long, whatever the fuck he wants to do, because I'm not going to argue with how he looks. But I think it's more the terminology around it. It's not actually the process itself.
And listen, if you have enough mental discipline and control to bank calories throughout the whole week, and to have a cheat day where you're eating a bunch of calories just because that's what your routine is, and then the next day you have enough discipline to go back to the same thing, then fantastic for you. Whatever routine works for you. So respect. We're not saying that's you shouldn't do that, or if you are doing that, you should stop. Like, what we're saying is that getting into a more refined system of habits and practices, whether it's schedule, whether it's nutrition, whether it's your mindset, you can see how all of these are so interwoven together to work consistently with one another to create this ecosystem of success, right?
Yeah.
And, and everybody's different, and everybody works different, everybody thinks different, everybody has different lifestyles. We have to tailor it to ourselves, but at the same time, what is consistent is if your mindset isn't there, it's going to be so much more difficult for you to accomplish any of these goals, period, to get to the desired results that you want to. So, get your mind ready first. And, as part of that is the schedule, is making sure that you dedicate time for yourself. And I've heard from a lot of folks, like, I feel selfish for dedicating an hour a day to myself. Like, listen, like, you should have time for yourself. Like, everybody needs time for themselves. Like, you need time to unwind and relax. And my unwinding and relaxing when I got home was to grab a shot of bourbon and sit down with like a bourbon and have a sip and be like, oh, now I'm nice and relaxed. I had a shot of bourbon. So, not a great habit to go into, but at the end of the day, it was just one glass. It wasn't like 10 glasses. When I played video games, it might be like 3. But other than that, that was my way of relaxing, right? But that was time for myself. And we all have various ways of doing time for ourselves. It's just, what's your priority for time for yourself? Is it, going on the TV and watching an hour of episodes of something else? Or is it, going outside and, doing something that gets you motivated to move around? There's different things that we do from a habits perspective that we can change for time for ourselves. And, I'll say the lifestyle that I've been living with this has been very instrumental in changing in all of my kids. All my kids, are athletic and want to continue to be athletic. They want to get into lifting. They want to, do all these different things because they see dad do it and they see the success that dad has had with it, and they want to eat healthy. And we don't use the word diet here. We don't use the word cheat days. We don't use, it's interesting because like my son Mason's really conscious of this because he has my genes where, if he doesn't pay attention, he can definitely pack on the weight if he wanted to. Luckily, he's very athletic, so it's been good that way. My other son, Gavin, is a rail. Like the kid, can probably eat whatever the hell he wants to all day long and be perfectly fine. We all have our things, right? For Mason, what's interesting with him is, you're like, Dad, I'm looking at getting this. What do you think? I'm like, well, here's what this means. And this is, I break down the carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. It's like, oh, that's really bad in fats. I'm like, well, what have you eaten for the rest of the day? Or what have you eaten for the rest of prior to day? He's like, I only eat this at breakfast and blah, blah. I'm like, dude, go for it. You need some food in you. So go grab that. That's good. So, trying to communicate less on like dieting, but more so like what's your day look like from a food perspective and making right choices towards those types of foods, things that we can do really well with our family. And it's been naturally progressing throughout our family. And we've had a lot of success with it, which has been really good. And teaching the right things. Cause like, I wish the hell that I knew all the stuff that I know now when I was a kid growing up, because like, man, I would have been so much more successful with, my health and longevity. Wouldn't have had heart surgery, wouldn't have had stomach surgery, wouldn't have had all these other ailments that were plaguing me throughout my life. So, these things that we can, instill in our kids are also reflective of who we are as a person and living that lifestyle as well.
Yeah, I think that I've said this before, like it's the fault and responsibility thing. Like it's not necessarily our fault. There wasn't the same resources and education around nutrition, around food for sort of the generation, I guess, before us. But now it's our responsibility to make sure that we pass on the right information. And I definitely think there's a fine line from that. And one thing that I've sort of been very mindful of whenever Harper's about and I'm making food, like I don't want her to think that you have to weigh everything, because obviously if I'm tracking it, I'll weigh it. And I'm very conscious that I don't want her to see that as like normal, because it's not necessarily, and there's obviously other ways to do it. So it's like, I don't want it to go from one extreme to the other. So yeah, the parenting side's hard. But to go right back to something that you said about, you look at your week ahead. And I think that overall, and probably food, travel, everything that we've probably ever spoken about is being prepared for it. So, on a Saturday, on a Sunday, looking at your week ahead and thinking, okay, right, this is what I have on this week. When can I fit these things in? So, you're probably similar to me that every week's different in a sense. So sitting and like working out and not just like turning up on a Monday and be like, okay, what's going to happen today? Oh shit, right, I don't actually have any time to train. And then doing it the next day and the next day is probably not the best way to do it. And one thing that has always stuck by me, and it's something again that I'm going to put in the chain. I remember having a conversation with a guy called Gareth Neal, who was a super successful, he worked for an accounting firm, and then basically he is an investor in a lot of companies now. And one thing that he said to me about his time, he basically puts a value on his time. So he will literally have a value that he would charge per hour, whatever it is, or if you're working it out, like how many hours do you work per week versus how much you get paid a month, whatever else. Whatever that number is, everything that you do in a day is what you're doing. Is that task worth that value? And that the example that he used was going to the grocery store. Obviously, you can get groceries delivered. So, if it's a half-hour trip there and an hour and a half walking about the grocery store trying to navigate through everybody, and then a half-hour trip there, like it's 2.5 hours out of your day. Is that worth X amount based on what your value per hour time is to yourself? So like things like that, you don't necessarily need to do that. There's other ways to do it in terms of get the food brought to you, order it online, and whatever else. So just a little, it's something that's ever since he said that, was probably about, I guess 3 years ago, I had that conversation with him. He actually sent me a message recently saying, looks like you've taken everything on board that I've said. I was like, yes, I did. Thank you for watching. But yeah, just a guy who just watches things in the background. But yeah, the value for time thing definitely stuck me. So sometimes if I'm sitting, I'm like, right, I've got all this stuff to do. I'm like, what can I get somebody else to do? What can I delegate? What can I just sack off because it's a useless task? And then what is something that I do for myself in that time? And yes, okay, you do have the conversation of like, am I being selfish? But when it comes to training, and when it comes to anything, to just take time for myself, I know that if I do those things, I'm a better person in everything that I do. So even like today was training, I probably was a little bit better on all the calls that I had. I was probably a little bit better on all the check-ins that I had. I probably was a little bit better in this podcast than I would have been in that if I hadn't have trained this morning. So those things that you potentially think are selfish can lead to a better version of yourself in whatever it is that you're going to do for the rest of the day or the rest of the week.
Nailed it. We did it.
Yeah.
It's already been an hour.
That's all right.
Yeah, it's good. It's where we're supposed to
finish. Like mic drop, not to disappear.
No, hey, thanks everybody for tuning in for this week. Really, really great. By the way, I just want to say the Discord server has been absolutely on fire lately. It's been awesome to see a lot of the interaction, and the restructuring's been working out really good. So I like the new format and outline. Did you see my comments about all the stuff I changed last night?
I did. I replied.
The change line. No, you didn't.
I did.
You did not.
I did.
You did. You did. Okay, you did.
Yeah,
you did. Okay, you did.
This was actually the conversation. So I was talking to Tyler this morning. I was like, we were talking about the Discord or something. I was like, oh yeah, Dave sent me all the changes. He was like, how does he have time to do all this stuff? And I was like, time management and schedule and podcast today.
That's right.
We've got it covered.
That's right. Well, it's the thing. I like, we'll talk about things and then we'll figure it out. And then I'll have like a list of things that I just build up and then I just knock them out, when I have time to go and do them. So it's just, again, time management. Did I like reprioritize my lifting so that I can get my Discord stuff in? Hell no, but it's, but it is a priority of mine. So, we just make the time for ourselves. But anyways, thank you all for joining. If you think we're doing a great job, please share it to other friends and family and folks that could benefit from what we're doing here. Just, providing free knowledge and sources for making yourself live longer, happier, healthier, and all that good stuff. So tune in next week for another episode. You can find us all on social media at We Hack Health on Twitter, Discord, Instagram, everything else. And again, appreciate you, all you folks out there sharing your experiences. It's been awesome to see. And let's have an awesome week this week and kick ass and take names next week as well.
And for those of you who listen through the website, everything has to be updated. All of the episodes are now updated. That was something I kept moving from to-do list to to-do list, but it is now officially done. Thanks for listening. See you next week.
Thanks, everybody.